Hello and welcome to Costa del Sol Chatter. We have lots of events coming up, and today we're going to have a debate about the Spanish election on Sunday. We have this weekend, and it had already started on Wednesday, the La Cala Feria. That will culminate on Sunday with a lovely fireworks event. There are many, many activities to do there, so that's something you can really enjoy at the weekend. Notably, I don't know if our viewers or members remember him. I certainly do. Costa is coming to the Marbella Arena on August 30th. Of course, he's memorable for the song Lady in Red. I think women and men of a certain age can certainly remember that tune and dancing to it. And plenty of other events going on, which can all be checked out in all the local newspapers. I can't name them all, unfortunately. I just pick and choose a little bit. Anyway, today we're going to be debating about the upcoming elections, and here to join me is Arturo Lopez from Lopez Legal. Arturo is Spanish, French, and has considerable knowledge of politics, which he has. I've learned a lot recently, and I wanted to share that knowledge with other expats, because we may understand the British and Irish governments, or the governments of where we would call our original home, but it's nice to hear from another expat via a Spanish person exactly what's going on, so it doesn't seem so confusing to us. So I'd like to welcome Arturo.
Hello.
To get to chat with us and inform us about what's going to be happening on Sunday.
Hello.
My first question for the viewers is basically, can you just go through each party from left to right with a basic understanding of what they stand for?
From left to right.
Yeah.
We have the new alliance of extreme left, the old Podemos, now called Sumar, led by the Ministry of Labour Matters, Yolanda Díaz. Then we have the socialist PSOE, which leader is our president, Pedro Sánchez. Then we have, it left me one. Then we have the Partido Popular, the right party. And at the extreme right, we have Vox, the extreme nationalists of Spain. In the middle, we have little groups with some good representation, like the Basques, who must have some 10, and the Catalans, who must have another 10.
Did you mention Podemos?
Podemos doesn't exist anymore, incredibly. Remember that Pedro Sánchez, very cleverly, after the disaster of the town hall elections 2 months ago, he decided that same night to convoke, anticipating the general elections. Why he did that? Because he realized that his figures were not very bad, but for sure the extreme left was going to eat his voters if they were assembled, but they are not, because Podemos has lost representativity between the left citizens, and is Yolanda Díaz with her new created political party Sumar, who is getting more interest. So they wrote finally an agreement. I mean, even the maneuver of the president, they managed in 2 weeks to do agreements.
So Sanchez made an agreement?
No, not at all. Yolanda Díaz, the leader of Sumar, wrote an agreement with the other. The extreme left in Spain is a bit complicated, because they are all communists. Some left parties are only in certain communities. For instance, Compromís in Valencia. So Podemos was a sort of coalition of left parties. Now Podemos doesn't exist anymore as it is. It's not appearing at these elections, because the new alliance of the extreme left is Sumar.
Okay, I understand.
And so, it's led by Yolanda Díaz.
I suppose my question was, if Sanchez and his party manage to get in, will they make an alliance with the left?
Falsely, yes. We must remember that the last elections were incredibly awesome. We had 2 elections. In April 2019, we had the elections, and because at that moment there were many political parties, there was the extincted Ciudadanos. and they got in that first election 35 or 40 MPs. Then there were a lot of groups with some power but not enough. So they couldn't reach any agreement. So the elections were repeated in November 2019, just before the lockdown. And what happened? Ciudadanos managed to drop calamitously. They got only 10 or something like that. But Podemos maintained the point. So they replaced Ciudadanos in the agreement with the socialist Pedro Sanchez. And Pedro Sanchez, I must say, that he managed to do a very difficult agreement to govern, because he was with communists. For instance, the Ministry of Consumers things is a communist. Come on. And these ministries of Podemos were clashing all the time with the other ministries of socialists. So it was very difficult to govern.
He had the Catalans and the
Yes,
Basques. So
thank you for
he's had
reminding.
a very, very kind of difficult and tricky way of handling government, because he seems to have been handcuffed.
Yes,
is
and
the
giving
word.
concessions to everybody, for
And
instance.
that's a very difficult way to
Yeah,
govern any
yeah.
sort of coalition with people who have completely separate ideas. So
Yeah.
so maybe, and I am not affiliated with any particular party myself, but maybe he might be, in this instance, given a little bit of a chance. That's not, we're going to have a bet about this at the end. That's not what I'm necessarily predicting. But please also...
Are you doing a prediction?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm going to give one, but I mean, I could be completely wrong. I'm going to make you give one, just as a person.
I wouldn't dare to make any prediction.
Really?
Honestly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the other thing I wanted to explain to the viewers is the Vox party, because it's very controversial. They've got some very controversial policies on immigrants and LGBTQ rights, which I would be absolutely dead against. On the other hand, funny enough, you've got to really read the fine print on what a lot of these ideas are, and some of them aren't so bad. Some, particularly for me, nationalisation of water. Water is such a big issue. I think it needs to be nationalised and controlled nationally. So I think that's something that Vox is putting forward. So you have to sort of read their manifestos and really see what they're trying to do, because though I would never vote for the far right, they do have some good ideas. In fact, I probably wouldn't even vote for Partido Popular. And let's explain that Partido Popular will be more like the Conservative government,
Yes.
am I right? So, and but it's likely, and please elaborate on this, it's looking very likely, unfortunately, that the Partido Popular is going to have an alliance with Vox in order to gain majority, and that is going to be, again, another difficult government if that happens now.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No. Today I'm optimistic. So I'm going to put you two scenarios, because the things here are only this or that. There are not many scenarios. Or PP and Vox gets 176 MP, and then they have the majority, and then for sure they are going to deal. And now I answer your question. The art of doing an alliance depends on how hard your minor partner wants to get more.
And
It's
how many
always the
seats
same
they
thing.
get as
Correct.
well. I mean, it's all in the calculations, you know.
So I put you an example. What has happened with this alliance of our president with Podemos? Bueno, the sensation of the citizens is that he has been eaten all the time in his own office. I mean, the ministries of Podemos has been doing and preparing the laws. They have been, I don't know how, but obliging the government to present the laws, to make them vote, to vote disciplinedly. And it seems that they are very, and not hard to, what's the expression?
Crack.
To crack.
Yeah, so
But I don't think Vox is going to be so hard, because the connection between Pepe and Vox, sorry to say this, is much softer.
what do you mean by it?
They are much closer than we think.
Right, okay, that's quite interesting. So what you really want to see is an effective government. So you don't want to see, say, Sanchez re-elected with his hands tied
No.
again.
If I'm going to vote the right, I'm sorry to say clearly, but if
But
Feijóo is not going to
Partido
win,
Popular, not
then I want Pedro Sanchez stronger.
Yes, I understand.
What
that.
we want
when you
is
say right,
you
sorry.
win or you win, but please win.
Yeah,
Win.
when you say right, you mean Partido Popular.
Partido Popular. I'm going to vote Partido Popular. But honestly, I don't dislike how our president has managed to do this complicated government. I admire that.
So what you would like to see, if he is voted in, for him to have a proper mandate to move forward with a government, you know, where he's not having to bend to minority interests.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But perhaps this is a thinking for the future. We should perhaps manage to change the electoral law, because our system is very proportional. And in America, for instance, they don't have that system at all. But why? Because they want a clear winner. So it doesn't matter your proportion, who wins, wins all. And here it's not like that. So what happens? In Catalonia, for instance, they have the captive voters, the nationalists who want Catalonia independent. And what happened? That systematically, since 40 years ago, they get 10 MPs. And that gives them a strength in the Congress, incredible, because with the 10 votes, they can manage to twist the government, and they do. They do.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen on Sunday. I'm going to make a little bet with Arturo. My prediction, and again I could be wrong, is that it's going to end up in a caretaker government. It's going to be fractured, and that we're going to be voting again in 6 months.
Really? Well, it happened already in 2019. Why not?
I think that. What would you say is? What's your money on then?
No. If you're
He's
asking
not
me
going to
about
be
my
boxed
hopes,
in on this.
my hopes or my prediction,
Your prediction.
I don't know.
Oh, he won't be boxed into a corner.
No,
You see,
it's so
Come
short.
on.
It's so short. Listen, whoever wants to govern must get, by his own or in alliance, 176 MP. So
I thought you were going to say that Partido Popular and Vox were going to win it, but actually a recent poll put them, if they had an alliance, at not making it at about 173. So my prediction is a caretaker.
you see, it's very short.
Is a caretaker government, but you know, I'm fairly new into Spanish politics. What do I know? You probably know better than me, and probably know
I
better.
want to say something.
No, best not to answer. No.
The postal vote.
This is
read this
interesting.
morning, because we had a conversation about that. You remember one day I talked about the postal electoral scam?
Yeah, we had this in America before.
Claro.
Yeah.
Why? Because as I said in that interview, it is the easiest way to do a fraud, to commit a fraud. Well, you know how many has voted
Already?
by postal? Yeah, because it ended yesterday. 2.5 million.
And about 20 million votes.
Probably yes.
So that's about 10% of the votes. So let's not accuse anyone of anything.
No, but
can
imagine-
they be somehow rejected?
Vega, let's be conspiranoid and hear this.
What This is purely a conspiracy theory.
Who do you think are the kind of class of people they have voted by post?
Definitely the right.
More,
For sure.
because they vote by post because I'm on holiday. Okay, so if I wanted the government to win, I check all the votes the day of the elections, and I take the bag with the 2 million and a half, and I throw it
You
to
can't
the
do that. You can't do that, Arturo.
No, I tell you how. It's called law war. Law war, no? They call that.
Sorry?
See. Is a you can go to court and try to do as Jeff Bush did in Florida.
Yeah,
in Florida.
Jeff Bush. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Well,
Remember? It was very
going-
short. It was
yeah.
some 1,000 votes.
Yeah.
Well, they got on court. the statement that those votes were void.
Yes,
And those votes were the votes who could sentence Jeff not to be the governor.
Yeah, of
So,
course.
whoop, boop.
Well, let's see what happens. We're going to be following that very closely on Sunday. But just finishing off on a less serious note, I did read a story. I'm sorry, I can't say which local news outlet it was because I genuinely can't remember because I would always usually credit the newspaper. But I thought this was quite interesting for the viewers in the sense that what would you do in this situation? Two women went out for a little walk in Torrux, and as they were ambling by a plant pot, they discovered €3,000.
Sorry?
3,000 euro plant pot.
Are you
It's
talking
a
about
plant.
marijuana?
I'm talking about a plant pot, you know, that
Okay,
you
so
put outside your door.
Una maceta.
It didn't say exactly where it was put, but they found €3,000 in cash, and they handed it into the police. Good on them. First of all, would you hand the money in? I know I would because it would be too much of a big amount of money. But interestingly, they did hand it in, and the police found who owned the money, and he's decided to remain anonymous.
It's embarrassing, no? Especially how do you explain to your wife you lost the money? What was the money for? Where were you coming from?
But it begged the question of, you know, if you do find a big amount of money and you knew you could take it.
No, mira, honestly.
You just wouldn't.
I know that we have seen many movies and our principles are a bit more flexible. But when you and I we were children and we were with somewhere, what the teacher does, you don't do that, and that's it, and you don't do it. So you don't do it, especially because it's a crime. If you find someone, whatever is it, you must go to the police station and to give it. Then it happens a curious thing. If it, during 1 year no one reclaims whatever it is, you can go back and say, now I'm the owner, and it is like this, I promise. So money is difficult, but you find a camera or you find something valuable
or a Tiffany diamond ring, no?
Yes.
It's yours after a year. No, I didn't know that. There you go. Thank you for
So your
that,
duty
isn't
is to give it to the police, ¿vale?
Great.
I agree that if you find €20, I'm not going to say not to do, but I could understand. But with 3,000, no. Think that the person who has lost the 3,000 has a major problem.
Right.
So,
well, good on the ladies anyway that found that and handed it in, and the anonymous man has said he will give them a reward, which is nice.
Exactly.
I'm going to say.
I think it's obligatory by law. That could be considered a treasure, and the treasure, who finds the treasure, the owner must pay a reward for that.
Okay, do you know the percentage? We'll have to look that up. We'll get.
Honestly, I need to see it because the last time I read this article was when I was studying the faculty 40 years ago.
Well, listen, I'm going to say goodbye to you, Arturo.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your information. Thank you for all your information on the Spanish elections. I know that I have been educated, had a short, sharp education in Spanish politics from Arturo. But from me here at Costa del Sol Chatter, I wish you all a wonderful week on the Costa del Sol, and goodbye. Thank you.